name is Mukami Chege. It's always such a delight to have you, and I continue to appreciate the feedback that I get, and I appreciate that this ministry is what it is because of your presence. Today we are talking about self-sabotage, and the big question is, are you your worst enemy? Are you your worst enemy? And what are those things that are hindering you from achieving your goals, and how are you contributing to that? And as I was reflecting on that, of course, if I asked you, are you your worst enemy? Chances are you'll say, of course not. I mean, no one goes out there and says, I am putting on this armor of being myself worst enemy. No one goes out there and say, I want to make myself fail. No one goes out there and says, I want to stop rooting for myself and stop appreciating myself, and I just want to block or become a hindrance to my own life success. No one does that. But apparently, subconsciously, we do. We sit and set goals. We tell ourselves, this is the year of the Lord. We want to scale the heights. We want to be outdoor more, so we tell ourselves that we are going to do several hikes. You will probably even list the hills and the mountains that you want to hike, or places you'd want to see as part of your outdoor adventure. You tell yourself you're going to be more spiritual, and you come up with a list of some of the things that you're going to do, probably gratitude being one of them. You set your financial goals and you say, this year I want to save this much, and those savings will go towards this particular project. I want to generate this X income, and career-wise, I want to scale to the next level, so I want to apply for vacancies in that direction. Business-wise, we tell ourselves we want to expand, or we want to restock more, or we want to diversify in terms of the things that we are selling, and we sit and do all that planning, and most of it is called, New Year's resolution. There are people who take time to develop their personal development, their personal strategic plan, and mostly it will include those kind of things that you want to do. And once you have done that, that is the planning, that is the vision. And the Bible says, where there is no vision, people perish. So it's good to have a vision. It's good to, to know what it is that you want. It is good to know you want to move from here, and this is where you want to go. And knowing that is a good thing. But the question then would be, so where does self-sabotage come? Or what is even self-sabotage? Self-sabotage is basically you stopping yourself and you working against the very things that you'd want to do. And while it may not be an obvious thing, subconsciously we do things that go against the very things that we want to achieve. And I'll just give an example. For a long time, I've always wanted to be fitter, to be healthier, to lose a few kilos, and probably many kilos. And it's always a good goal to have, and you will probably even have a list. I've always had this hashtag healthy to 100, because I want to live long. I want to see my children grow. I want to see them mature. I want to see them get married. I want to see my grandchildren, and I want to see and experience life when I'm healthy and fit and enjoying, being part of the adventure, really. But that is what I want, and that's what I would want to see. What needs to follow after the wanting, the wishing, or the wish list, then has to be what Jim Rohn calls the labor pain. And the labor pain is the work, the grind, the motion that every day you're waking up to do the things that you line up to do to be able to achieve that particular vision. And as I'm talking about that, of course, part of the things that you would include in your usual to-do list is, say, having a health regimen in terms of diet, It would include things like going out there and maybe doing a run, a morning run or a jog, or going to the gym. You know, even small things like I have no sugar, reducing on salt, doing more water, you know, the usual that would need to go with that kind of goal of being healthy and fit. And the issue of self-sabotage then comes in, that every day, you know, say for example, I'm not supposed to do so much of sugar stuff, but you keep reaching for it. You keep going for that. You tell yourself, okay, just for today, let me do my 2 sugars in my tea. Or you tell yourself, let me do this extra piece of pizza or whatever it is. You know it shouldn't be going or you shouldn't be consuming it. And you know it doesn't augur well with the goals that you'd want to achieve. But for some reason, psychologically, you still go ahead and do that. That is self-sabotage. That you know this is the path that you should be following, but for some reason, you're moving on and following on to another path. And self-sabotage then is just you preventing yourself from being where you should be, or from reaching the goals that you should reach. And sometimes part of the reason, or some of the reasons that you could be doing that, you know, they are more of subconscious than really conscious. The feeling that you're not good enough, the feeling of low self-esteem or low self-worth, that yes, I want to invest a million shillings at the end of the year, but subconsciously there are powers that are working against that, maybe because of the socialization that you've had, the way you are brought up. You know, there are things that you're told maybe about money that doesn't really add a lot of value in your life. I think most of us grew up hearing things like money doesn't grow on trees, or, you know, all sorts of things. Oh, money is the root of all evil. We normally hear all these sorts of things about money, for example. And because of that, you've always had challenges, you know, just experiencing money, and when you have the money, you always dispense of it as quickly as you can. And that feeling of you not being worth the riches that you're looking for, or the kind of investment that you're looking for, or imagining a million in your mind doesn't even sound real, and therefore you don't feel like you're worthy that kind of amount or something like that. That sense of low self-worth is one of the things that would make you sabotage yourself, you know, holding back because of fear. When we set out to do things, greater as they may sound, there's always the fear of not achieving them. Like, say for example, you say you want to do A, B, C, and D, but then you are afraid. Probably you want to leap out into business, but then you are afraid, what will happen? What if I don't succeed? How will people look at me? What if I fail? What will that failure translate to at personal level, at family level, and all that? You know, that fear holds you back. And because you are afraid, then you end up preventing yourself from doing the very things that you have planned to do. And sometimes you also anticipate a no response from life. And what do I mean? There are times when people ask, you know, I know sometimes, you know, my son would ask me something and just say, yeah, I know you'll say no. You know, and it may sound funny, but sometimes we ask something of life, but deep, you know, subconsciously we anticipate a no response. So here we are planning, we want to be this slim or this fit, but at the end of it, we are sort of telling at the back of our mind, the inner conversation is all about, I mean, me to come from this number of kilos to this, it's quite unrealistic. So we anticipate, you know, that which we are seeking to achieve, we will not even achieve it in the first place. So we are sort of pretending to go out for it, but we are not convinced that we are worth that thing, or we are not convinced that we can even reach it. And I think it is human nature that all of us want to be in control of situations. So you don't want to be caught off balance. So you sort of approach life and you have this anticipation of no as a response, and probably it's more of a psychological thing to fall back on when you don't succeed, and then you tell yourself, anyway, I knew I wouldn't succeed anyway, and you know, I didn't expect me to succeed in that venture. It's like you're putting that to cushion yourself and to cushion your mind from, you know, the free fall of what failure would look like. How do you know then, or what are the signs that you're sabotaging yourself? I would want you to reflect on this at a deeper level, because sometimes, you know, you may have a talk like this and you think, okay, that seems psychological stuff, that seems like bookish stuff, but I think for me this is realer than it can get. That self-criticism, I think there are many a times when we are so brutal with ourselves. We look at ourselves, we are not seeing a beautiful person or a handsome person. We are not appreciative of who we are. We criticize each and everything that we have, not only just physically. We criticize our ability to think and be able to make certain decisions. We become our biggest critic, and you know what criticism does? It makes you, or it cuts your adventurous spirit. It makes you not freely go out there and make manifest the potential that God has put in you. And part of the reason, or how you can find out, am I self-criticizing? I'm this kind of a person who would reflect, say for example, after this talk, you know, I would sit and say, okay, Miriam, let me just see how the video was. Was the background okay? I'm in my study right now. I will be looking at the little detail. Was my hair in place? Did my English flow well? Somebody was telling me, oh, you're so probably kind of person. Yeah. And that would make you sort of like coil a bit. Am I using probably too much? You know, we start criticizing ourselves. You take a selfie. Oh, I think this pimple is coming out. I think I should take another one. I don't think my eyes popped the way I would want. You know, that self-criticism sometimes always comes. And sometimes it eats into even the things that we would want to achieve in life, relationships we would want to achieve. You know, you approach, or you are in a relationship, but it's like you're always hoping for the other person to be the one to uplift you, because you have all this heavy blanket of self-condemnation that you wear on yourself, and you know, you become your own biggest critic. The other thing is negativity. Negativity is all about looking at life as half empty, looking at the bad in life, looking at what is not working. And many a times, if you'd want to see how, or the extent to which you're self-sabotaging, again, I would want you to reflect on your positivity or your negativity. Are you the negative person? Are you the kind of a person who will say, yeah, these things, the way economy is, venye ni kubaya. You know, there are always this kind of people who will always be talking about life, you know, from that lens of things are not well. Oh, the way people are becoming sick nowadays. The way the economy is harsh. You look at yourself and say, yeah, me, I'm looking at my career, and yeah, you know, I am just having to deal with where I am right now. You know, of course, you know, you are not comfortable with where you are, but you know, do you feel like you have no choice? That whole negativity thing can really engulf you, and you know, it stops you from adventuring into where you'd want to be. Sometimes it is just sheer disorganization. And I'm saying this because here I was, you know, having planned to be doing this at 11 every Saturday, but you know, I start out on other assignments, then I find myself rushing, you know, or I want to write my book, and I'm finding I'm not putting in enough time. I'm not prioritizing the things that I would want to do, you know, and because of that, you find yourself that you're not able to reach your goals. And when it comes to things like weight, you know, just that overindulgence, you know, for us to reach our goals, we cannot wake up at the same time we've been waking up. All this time we've not achieved those goals. And as I say, you know, insanity is doing the same things and expecting different results. Sometimes we want to be fitter, to be healthier, to have more time with our family members, to achieve more on the personal development front. But we imagine that we can spend this time the same way we have been spending. Or we overindulge in the very things that we have been overindulging in. It's not just about too much of salt or less water and all that kind, but it's also a question of how to use your time. You cannot want to achieve so much and yet half of the time you want to sleep at the same time. You cannot overindulge in eating certain things and you expect to be fitter. So when you're overindulging in certain things, overindulging in, say, watching TV series after series, when you overindulge in, you know, having sittings with you know, those sittings you have with people just backbiting and, you know, doing what I would call the useless stuff, of course you'll not be able to achieve and prioritize the things that are important to you. So overindulgence is one of the things, again, that can, you know, trigger you to thinking, yeah, I'm not spending my time in the quality way that I would want to spend, and therefore, you know, being out of focus from your goals. And it is interesting, when we keep a laser sharp focus on our goals, when every time we are thinking about them. In fact, they always say whenever you have your goals, it's even good that you write them down and place a flashcard in your pocket somewhere. A place where if you have a moment, you just look at them. These are the goals I'm achieving this month, or these are the goals that I would want to achieve this year. And as you're looking at those goals, you're telling yourself, how can I achieve more? If I want more money, if I want more friendships, if I want more romance, how can I achieve that? And you're thinking, you know, about it. It's ripe in your mind. It's present. It's now. That spirit of that presence makes your goal even more achievable, because you'll be looking for opportunities to make it realistic. Unlike when the goals are far off, removed, not in focus, you know, and out of that. And of course, sometimes we self-sabotage ourselves, especially on matters, relationships, when we start conflicts with our partners. And, you know, here you are, you want to have a better relationship, but for some reason, because you're not self-loving, you're not self-worthing yourself, you find yourself, you know, being in a fighting mode. Or I'm just laughing because I remembered what Chris Kirubi said the other day about marriage. Okay, not that I hold that view. I actually believe that, you know, God made marriages as a beautiful thing, and, you know, but he was giving an example that you can marry the wrong person who looked like they went into the army and they're always in a fighting mood. I just thought that was, you know, very funny. But sometimes here we are, we want to have or to be in loving relationships, but we self-sabotage ourselves because we are ever in fighting moods. We are ever looking for ways that conflict us more than ways that, you know, that bring us together, and all that you know, puts us down, and we are not able to focus to where, you know, where we would want to be. And how can we work ourselves out of all this? How can we stop self-sabotaging? I think part of the biggest reason is to, first of all, acknowledge that self-sabotage is there. It is real. It is even realer than you can imagine. That while you may look for the enemy without, you probably need to start looking for the enemy within. If you're not achieved your goals, if you are not happy with the place where you are currently with your life, if you're not in the best of place in terms of business, career, relationships, your connection with God. I always look at all spheres of life in terms of marriage, parenting, in terms of self-development. If you're not in a good place or where you'd want to be, you probably need to stop looking for the reasons out there. You probably need to stop blaming your spouse for the low adventure or the poor you know, bedroom situation that you could be in. You need to stop looking at yourself and ask yourself, have I been the contributor of the failure to the extent that I have failed, or even to the success to the extent that I have succeeded. And I'm saying this because I think that's a very it requires you to have a lot of guts and courage for you to sit and say, yeah, I'm the reason why I am where I am. I'm the reason why this and this has not succeeded. It's to be very brutal with yourself and say, you know, let me stop blaming my partner for the failure of our relationship. Let me stop blaming society for the failure of my business, or let me stop blaming the economy, or blaming, you know, some other force out there. And it is interesting how we can always have a long list of excuses and a blame list, you know, of things that have made our situation worse, and therefore things that we can blame for the situation of our lives. And that acknowledgement then needs, you start need to start asking yourself, if this is what I want to do, why am I not where I would want to be? If this is the journey I want to travel, why am I not traveling that journey? What is stopping me? What is holding me back? What is making me not probably run at the momentum and the velocity which I would want to run in life? And coming to terms with the fact that you fear, say for example, because if you fear things, you can never have an adventurous spirit. And I'm saying this because it's a time I remember I think last year I went for zip lining at Keraita, and at first I was, you know, very excited about it. I was there with my son, and we were very excited, you know, with this group of people, young and looking very vibrant. And when I saw the first zip line and the first person went, all my courage sort of sank back to my feet. I didn't imagine that I can go up there and flow that zip line. And I feared. In fact, right there, I was even trying to ask myself, did I make the right decision? I think my son was 10 then. As a parent, did I even sort of research to get to know what I was getting into? Am I not going to jeopardize his life? And I'm looking at him and wondering what are the feelings he's feeling right now, because even him, he saw the height and everything. So it is until we did the first one, then I was like, okay, it is not so bad. And I'm not saying that, you know, to sort of narrate and show how much adventure I have. I'm just saying that sometimes it just calls on you to realize what you fearing can make you do in terms of stopping you from doing the very things that you'd want to do. So here I am, and I'm trying to, you know, to encourage you that you have to look at your life and say, yeah, I fear failing. So if you're fearing failing, then you have to ask yourself, what do I need to do, or what do you need to do? Part of the things that you can do is to say, if people feared to fail, there are so many things they wouldn't have done. I mean, if Thomas Edison feared to make the bulb, if all these engineers have feared to make all the discoveries, or the scientists, if people feared to do what we are experiencing today, we probably be not experiencing the technology that we have. If they feared, they would fail. So you have to tell yourself that failure is part of life, and not focus more of the failures that you have encountered in your life, but more of what lessons have you drawn from those failures. I think that can give you the very much needed energy that you'd want to have. So the challenge in terms of that, overcoming that fear of failure, is to tell yourself that if you are afraid, if many people are afraid, there are so many things you wouldn't be having today. Just like if you feared, say, the heat, you wouldn't be in the kitchen cooking. So you have to accept that there are things you will do and you will succeed. There are things you will do that you will fail. And when you fail, you shouldn't beat yourself so hard because you failed. You look at failure and say it's part of life. What lessons can I draw and move forward? The other thing you can consider is changing your behavior pattern. And somebody said we are creatures of habit, and for sure it's true. Most of us wake up at the same time. We prepare the same way. We can even close our eyes and run through our mornings, that you're waking up at this time, saying a short prayer, making your bed quickly, rushing to the bathroom, moving from there, dressing up. Once you have dressed, running to the breakfast table, taking your breakfast, jumping out to the gate, probably if you have a car, driving, getting a matatu. You can, sitting probably in the same place, driving the same route, reaching the workplace. Sometimes we reach the workplace and we are like, I don't remember how I drove between this place and this place, because it runs more or less on automation in our brain. You don't have to think about it. And there's nothing as hard as having to change that pattern. There's nothing as hard as saying, I've been waking up at 5, now I have to wake up at 4:30 because I need to get an extra 30 minutes in my day to be able to exercise, for example, or to read, or to reflect, or to write, a chapter of my book. So it really takes a lot of time and effort, and subconsciously work on your mind to make your mind move from this set pattern of way of doing things into a new pattern that is going to assist you achieve your goals. So you have to challenge your the way you organize, or the way your behaviors, and basically your habits, so that you say, okay, fine, I find myself eating a lot of sugar when I cook pancakes, or my house help cooks pancakes, so I'm going to ask her not to cook pancakes, or maybe we do pancakes once a month. That way I can indulge less, and that way then I can be assisted in terms of achieving my goals. I need to set my alarm probably 10 minutes earlier. That way I'm able to say a prayer or do some sit-ups before I wake up, readjusting. So you have to change your, to check your behavior pattern. You have to check your habits. You have to ask yourself, which habits are working against my goals? Which habits are working for my goals? Because there are certainly things that we do in our lives so habitually, yet they are so unproductive to our lives. Things that we do, you can make a call, for example. There are people who will make a call, and chat and laugh about just nothings. Probably, I'm not saying chatting is bad. It's healthy for relationships, but sometimes we invest time and resources on things that are not adding value to our lives. And those are the things we need to start challenging. Is the way I'm spending my time supportive of the kind of goal agenda that I have for this year? And if it is not supporting, then you adjust. You change your behaviors. If, say, for example, I'm the kind that, with this corona, I'm the kind that has been oversleeping, how does that affect positively or negatively the achievement of my goals? So you keep adjusting then until you're able to be in a place where you can say, yeah, I like what the kind of patterns I have, and creating habits and finding a way that you can, should I say, make those habits stick. Because then if every day you're waking up to a new set of behaviors, making them habitual, and they are supportive of your agenda, you can imagine how productive you can be. Knowing that when I wake up this particular time, I'm having more time maybe to pray, I'm having time to exercises. In the evening when I come back, I'm adjusting my schedule so that I can have more time with my family instead of more time for the TV. I can discuss with my family how their day has been. I can be more resourceful to those who require my guidance. Even sometimes chat and making more memorable moments at the dining table. I can stop my WhatsApp social media habits so that I can build my relationship with my partner more. So you can look at the behavior patterns that assist your life and those that don't, and do less and less of what is not working for you, and do more and more of what is working for you. And of course, checking your inner voice. And it is interesting, every time we are about to do something, the inner voice will always click in. You know, I was giving an example of when I started this video, you know, will I have content? Will people view? Sometimes I may look at the numbers and feel like, oh, those are very few people, maybe probably get disappointed. Sometimes I see a good comment and I'm so uplifted. We are creatures that require and thrive on appreciation. And sometimes we feel that when that appreciation is lacking, it's like we lack the very fire and fuel to make us move to a greater level. But I think the challenge is, how do we start challenging the inner voice? When you start out at doing something, there's always that voice that will be telling you, oh, Miriam, will you be good for the camera? Will you speak the Queen's language the way, you know, it is expected? You're even a student of linguistics and literature. Will you flow the way you should flow? What if you shrub? How will people take that? You know, with the kind of stature that you have around yourself, you know, will people appreciate? There'll always be this inner conversation going into your mind. And sometimes that inner conversation can be the very reason that you don't start something. You start saying, okay, maybe I need to work on myself first. So until I've reduced 2 kilos, then now I'll be, you know, be having a better, or my shape will be better, and therefore people will appreciate more. And while you're waiting to lose the 2 kilos or the 5 kilos for you to come on cameras, you know, things are happening. Life is moving on. We are not waiting for you, you know, to say you're losing your couple of kgs for you to be able to come and do a Facebook Live video. And I'm not saying Facebook Live video is everything. Actually, I want to do more. I would want to engage probably in all sort of media and engage even in different languages, you know, so that I can reach to as many people as possible. And as I said, you know, check your inner voice. That inner voice that tells you you can't. You're not good enough. You're not educated enough. Oh, that topic looks like it requires a psychologist. You're not a psychologist. How about you delay until next year because, you know, the inner conversation that tells you to stop, to pause, to hold on a bit, to wait for the weather to be better. You have to stop that inner conversation, because that inner conversation can be the reason why you procrastinate on important things for a long time. That sometimes I see Facebook reminding me of memories for 5 years ago, and I'm like, oh my God, how interesting. Time has really flown. And it comes in as a reminder. Am I in the place where I wanted to be 6 years down the line? When you see a certain memory flash, you know, on your timeline. So that inner conversation has to be a different one. That you need to be very observant of your thoughts. And every time you find yourself telling yourself the negative, I can't, I will not make it, I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, you have to change that conversation. And changing that conversation is even telling yourself that you're a beautiful creature, you're fearfully and wonderfully made, that why you are 1 in a million, that God made you for a purpose, and that purpose only requires you to bring it to fruition. And it is interesting how sometimes people who are not very good in certain things, people who probably don't look good, people probably who are not so schooled, come out of life and achieve so much more than those who are looking so good, those who are well educated. You know, reasons because they keep their grind on. They don't fear so much that inner conversation, or they don't let the inner conversation stop them, you know, from rolling in life. And the other thing is that you also need to say, you don't have to wake up one day and do the big and mighty. Sometimes we sit and say, okay, I want to get into business, so I want to save this 100,000 shillings. Now, it would be good if you're able to save that amount, but it is better to save 5,000 for 2 years and come to that place when you have the 100,000, rather than wait until the 2 years are over to start imagining that you're able to save the 100,000. Sometimes it is in the little and the consistent, the tiny small baby steps that we take, that we're able to achieve to our dreams, to a place of our dreams. That you don't have to sit and wait for a miraculous thing to happen in your life for you to wake up and voila, you have shed off all this weight, you have gone on to a keto diet and things are working out well, and you know, you have shed off all the weight you've always been wanting to shed. It is in the small milestones, the daily workout that leads to a monthly workout schedule, that leads to a quarterly work schedule, that leads to a yearly work schedule, and the cumulative effect that gives you minus 10 kgs, as opposed to, I want to take this pill, it probably will hit my metabolism, and within a short period of time, I'll have shed all the kilos that I would want. So what I would say is that start small and make your small patterns of behavior as meaningful as possible. Look at your goals and say, what are the things that I can do, small but are going to meaningfully change the way my life is rolling, and do those consistently. And it is out of doing those that then you'll be able to achieve your goals, you know, step by step, and you know, get into a place where you're positively going to the direction of your dreams. And of course, you know, being okay with failing, knowing that failure is not the end of life, that sometimes we fear what people will say when we fail. Sometimes we worry about failure, not for ourselves, but more of other people. What will people say? They will say I cannot run a business if I fail in it. They will laugh at me when I don't, you know, do this. They'll ridicule me when I don't achieve this and that. And sometimes all that is psychological. You have to know that people who achieve their dreams, if they tell you their story, they'll always talk about the many failures. And it is those failures that will lead them to tell stories of courage. I mean, if life was one big leap, where you leap to the direction of your dreams and you reach one step of the way, that would be magical, that would be nice. But I think the way life is designed, it is designed to have bits of failure, bits of triumph, drought days, rainy days. It is designed to have moments when you're all uplifted, things are working out very well. Then it is designed to have times when they are, you know, you get low, experiences that put your spirits low. But I would say for me, it is a culmination of all that makes life worthwhile. That it is the A plus B plus C that makes life exciting. That I am who I am, not because my life has not been without challenges, but I am who I am because I have been able to overcome those struggles. Probably some of them I'm still overcoming them, but I'm where I am. It is those experiences that add up to my story. That if my story was this magical, abracadabra kind, I probably would not be here telling you the things that I'm telling you. But it is because of the struggles, it is because of the pain, it is because of the triumph, it is because of the fun and adventure of places where I have been, experiences that I have gone through, that all that culminate into the life that I have and the experiences that I have in life. I think we need to stop sabotaging ourselves. The realization that we can stop being the biggest enemy and start rooting for ourselves. That we need to conjure a different vision for ourselves and start telling ourselves, if other people have done it, even me, I can do it. And I'm not saying this so that you start comparing yourself, but sometimes we need to look at other people and the battles they have fought, and you're happy that they won, because part of the reason they won is so that you can also get the courage and learning from them to win as well. You know, when you see stories of people like Nelson Mandela going through prison, and for really no apparent reason, and coming out with a positive spirit of you love and uniting and telling people to stop living small and fearful lives. When you look at people like Oprah Winfrey, for example, and look at the experiences they went. The other day I was listening to Maya Angelou, for example, and you know, the way she was raped, I think when she was about 7 years old, the way for 5 years she stopped talking. I think because the person who had raped her, I think was, I don't know whether they killed themselves or something, you know. And you look at what they turned that experience to be and where they are or where they reached in their lives probably before passing on, and you get the courage to say, you know, there are people who have gone through worst experiences, but they did not cry foul the whole life. They sort of regal themselves of those bad feelings out of those experiences, and they were able to move on to you know, to where they would want to be. And part of the conversation then is that we are the most important people who can push ourselves to the place of our dreams. That we are not waiting for God to shove us from where we are to where we would want to be. Of course, He'll work His miracle, He'll bring people experiences and cause things to happen in our lives. But it is when we are the grind, it is when we are pushing on, that He will cause something good to happen. Where I come from, where we come from, we say Shiakorire washo mogoda, meaning that good things found Washo when she was in the shamba, and they did not find the good things. Did not find Washo when Washo was sleeping. So that miracle that you have been hoping to experience will not come to you when you are at a place of sleep and no action. They'll come because you are busy at your grind. You have the self-confidence, the self-belief that it is possible, that you know, ever since man landed on the moon, you know, the sky is no longer the limit. That you look at the Eliud Kipchoge's, despite the recent, you you look at people and people who have overcome things and pushed things, and you tell yourself that it is possible, that if it was possible for them, it is also possible for you. And of course, we can always look at the bad examples and try to copy those bad examples. And well, that you look at somebody who says, oh, I finished my degree in actuarial science, I've not gotten a job for the last so many years. And you start saying, even me, I did the same degree, you know, if so-and-so has not gotten a job. I mean, we can always look at whichever perspective of life we would want to look. But I think what I would want to challenge you on is, you can be your greatest enemy, and you can choose to be your greatest fan, your greatest supporter, rooting for yourself, urging yourself on, and being in a pitch, whether running or athletics or football, and listening to an audience called Mukami Chege. And the audience says, Mukami, go, go, Mukami, go, because you are your greatest friend, and you are the person who can cause things to move from where they are to where you'd want them to be. That you don't have to wait for other people. Well, other people can always chip in. Very soon I'll be talking about, you know, asking for help. But I think you are the greatest determinant as to where your life is and where you'd want it to be. That you're the greatest constant, actually. That when people can come and go in your life, when circumstances can change in your life, you are there. You are the one who remains, the constancy that never changes. So if you're happy with where you are, is because the constancy has probably worked extremely hard and smart to be where you are. If you are where you are and you're not happy about it, take responsibility, because this constancy called Mukami or called you're the same person who has, you know, been or made you to be where you are. Stop sabotaging yourself. realizing that self-sabotage is as real as it can be, but working against it, that you catch yourself when you are not prioritizing yourself. You catch yourself when you're thinking negatively. You catch yourself when you're being your biggest critic, and when you're not rooting for yourself. You catch yourself when you're overindulging, especially in negativity that is not helping you, when you're initiating conflicts, and when you're really out of focus with your goals. And when you do that, then you'll be in a better place to be able to champion for yourself. That you'll be looking at your life and saying, this I have done because God has not only been on my side, but because I have been on my side. Knowing that for you to bring your A game to life, you have to have the best team in the field. And that best team can only be you. That best team can only be a constant you. That you can be your greatest cheerleader. You can be your greatest fan, your greatest friend, and telling yourself you're fearfully and wonderfully made, that it is possible. If it has been possible for other people, if other people have overcome all sorts of adversities to be where they are, you can also overcome the adversity that you're that you're going through, and pushing on to be to where you'd want to be. Look for literatures on self-sabotage. Look for material that you can read further to be able to understand. Start good habits like reading. For example, when I was looking at my library the other day, and I was telling myself, you see, at the back there are quite a number of books that I've bought. I've never even opened the seal. And part of the reasons or things that I would want to do is to read more, so that I'm more resourceful for myself and for others as well. Start meaningful changes in your life, small, but going in the direction of your dreams. Start putting yourself in a place where you're able to follow through on things. Change your habits, change your patterns, behavior patterns. Wear a better armor so that you're able to face life hard on. If you need courage, you need to wear courage. If you need, because life is going to beat you from all sorts of corners, even when you least expect. But you don't want to approach life without arming yourself with all sorts of resources that you require. And part of it is having healthy habits that support your goals. It is having a positive internal conversation that supports your goals. It is, acting and organizing yourself, focusing on what is important to you and not what is important to other people, and just rearranging your life so that you're able to achieve what you have set out to do. And also knowing that it is okay to fail, and that failure is not the end of life, and picking up the lessons and dusting off yourself and moving on. Sometimes we fail, and we fail miserably at relationships, and we imagine, oh, I'll never find love. We fail at business and say, oh, I'm not cut out for business. We fail, in all sorts of manners, and we sort of like make a statement that stays on or makes us stay there for a very long time. Just because you have failed in one business doesn't mean you cannot start another and it flourishes. Neither does it mean you cannot start a new relationship and it thrives. I'm wishing you a very good Huduma day today, a very blessed week ahead, and I'm hoping that you'll stop self-sabotaging, or you'll stop sabotaging yourself and starting rooting for yourself as you draw towards your dreams. Waking up every day positively, knowing that this is a new day that God has given us to make changes, to create new habits that support our dreams, and to be able to create that iconic life that God designed for us to live, as opposed to surviving, as opposed to getting by, as opposed to being okay, but being in a place when we say we are doing awesome and we are doing great, because God has given us the opportunity to be game changers, and to bring our A game to our own lives, and to cheer us on, even especially when there is adversity. I want to thank you for your continued audience. Those who will come to watch this video thereafter, I usually appreciate that you need not watch it live, but when you watch it, take notes and pick even one thing that you run with. These kind of things probably are things that you sit in a seminar and you pay thousands of shillings to hear. I'm bringing it to you because I feel that I owe it to God to be grateful to the place where I am, to share my experiences, and to help somebody else's path light become better, because I've been here and I've shared this kind of information. Once again, if you're able to share information on how this has gone, if you like it, share. If you don't like it, share. By the way, I'm strong enough to take all sorts of feedback on how we can make this better and move it to the next level. I would really appreciate. On my socials, you can find me on Instagram, Mukami Chege, on Twitter, Mukami Chege, on Facebook, I have a page as well, Mukami Chege, on where? On YouTube, yeah. On YouTube, Mukami Chege, as I say, I have a couple of videos that I think you can enjoy, both in Kikuyu and English, whichever language you think, whatever. And I'll be uploading new videos, by the way, in the upcoming future. Continue to support me in ways that you can, and I will appreciate. Sometimes feedback is all I need, so don't shy away from giving feedback, especially if you think that feedback will go a long way to making our future sessions as interesting as possible. I still invite, if you have topics that you think you'd want us to cover, if I'm able to start interviews with people who I think can even uplift you more in this journey, I will endeavor to do that. But this has been very, very exciting. Every day I do this video, I then sit and listen to it, because I think it also challenges me. As I say, I never script. Maybe I should, I don't know, but I just talk. I just share things as they come to my mind, as I've experienced them. So it's not that I am talking and reading. No. I'm just sharing things as they come to me. Not to say that I'm a genius, but I just feel that I just want to have an authentic conversation, and one that is not so scripted and so tightly following a certain script. Are you your worst enemy? It's a question you need to ask yourself. Every time you make a decision, every time you make and the big actions, ask yourself, am I being my best friend? Am I being my worst enemy? Every time you procrastinate, ask yourself, is my procrastination assisting me, or is my procrastination curtailing me from achieving my dreams? Every time you find yourself in a negative mode, criticizing yourself, looking at yourself and saying this and that about yourself, are you being your biggest cheerleader, or are you being your worst enemy? And today you can start shifting that conversation that goes into your mind. That every time you catch yourself say, oh, I'll not start going live, I don't speak as well as Mukami does, or Mukami is there asking, oh, I'll not go live because I don't speak as fluent as other people do. It doesn't really matter. I think we are all gifted differently. We can all achieve different goals. And by the way, success is very personal. So don't measure success on my terms. No, you have to measure success on your own terms. And you have to keep asking yourself, am I going into the direction of my dreams? Because you're not going to chase other people's dreams. If your dream is not to be a public person, you don't really have to push yourself to be. For those of us who want to use the media, to minister in one way or another, then we also have to ask ourselves, how can we keep doing that and do it positively and doing it in a way that we are able to reach and connect with our audience. Thank you so much. I wish us all the best. May God bless you. May God uplift you in ways that you cannot even imagine. May you be elevated to a place where you're no longer sabotaging your dreams, because God created you to be able to manifest your fullest potential. and to experience joy and happiness as you do that, and to spread that joy and happiness to other people, so that people can also experience God's miracle through you. We are vessels that God has placed us in our various places so that we can be ministers of God and be good representatives of God in those spaces, so that other people may shine because we have shone, and other people may experience greatness because they have seen us experience that greatness. And when you come out of that shell and experience God's grace and scale the heights to higher levels of excellence, you're giving somebody else permission to do that. You're making somebody else unafraid to also tackle their dreams. This has been great. God bless you. Have a fantastic Huduma day. As you Huduma others, Huduma yourself as well. Self-love is important, so that then you have enough resources to be able also to Huduma to other people. This has been very exciting. My name is Mukami Chege. It has always been a pleasure to come to you every Saturday at 11. Today I did very late. As I said, technology was not really on my side, but I don't want you to use it as an excuse. I have to just do. Actually, I told myself, I don't do today, and I was like, no, how dare I not do it today? I mean, if I don't do it today, chances are I may stop doing it on Saturday. I'm also going to start doing these talks in Kikuyu, so for my Kikuyu audience, kindly be prepared. Topics and things you'd want us to talk about, I'll be more than happy. I usually tell people you don't have to watch. Every time I'm listening to uplifting videos on YouTube, I sometimes just place it there. It's just playing like a radio, and maybe probably I'm attending to my chores, and and I'm able to still get the message. Even this, you can do that. You just place it, let me roll on my video, and you catch one or two things and build yourself. This is Make It Happen series. Thrive, continue thriving in all spheres of your life. Stop self-sabotaging, or stop sabotaging yourself. Start cheerleading yourself to the fullest potential that God has put in you. I love you. Keep your feedback coming and follow me on my socials. May God bless you. May God bless you. May God bless you. It has been great interacting with you on this particular Saturday, and I appreciate the opportunity that God has given me. Asante.